I want to welcome everybody to the meeting of the Revere School Committee on Monday, November 9th at the Ferranti School Committee Room. Would everybody please rise and pledge allegiance to the flag? I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Mr. Ferranti.
Here.
Ms. Garavelisi.
Here.
Mr. McGuire.
Here.
Ms. Pruitt.
Present.
Mrs. Rizzo.
Here.
Ms. Ty.
Here.
Mayor Rizzo.
So moved. Approval of the meeting minutes of the October 13th and November 3rd, 2015.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay. Superintendent's report, Dr. Kelly.
Thank you, Mr. Ferranti. I'm actually going to begin the superintendent's report. We have a number of certificates, a number of students that we want to recognize here tonight. And the first one is Erica Anderson, who is one of our track athletes. And I'm going to pass the microphone to Mr. McGuire, who's going to speak a little bit about why we're honoring Erica tonight.
Thank you very much, Superintendent Kelly. A few weeks back, a middle school student, Erica Anderson, was in a track meet at the Linwoods, and there was a child from the other opposing team that had Down syndrome who had taken a wrong turn. Erica saw this, and she could have ran on, but she made a split-second moral character decision to go help that child. I don't know how many kids would have done it. I'm so proud that she did it, not just because she's from Beachmont, not because she's Andersons are a very good friend of mine, but as a seventh grader, I believe, to make those decisions in a split second, we need to celebrate those moments. And she will be a future leader, and we're going to keep an eye on her. For making that decision, you showed us a great moment in Revere sports, and I thank you very much. There wasn't money with it. I have something for you later.
That was a nice thing you did. That was beautiful.
I'm going to do the rest of the awards. Was this not on? No? Try this. Okay. I'm going to do the rest of the awards here so that the school committee can stay up and so that I can stand up and congratulate the following students. The next awards we're presenting are 5 academic excellence awards that are presented by the Massachusetts Association of School Superintendents. It's a very prestigious award and one that they ask that we bestow upon students in the fall so that they can use it on their applications to colleges, because colleges recognize that an award from a state superintendent's association is pretty significant. So we're really proud of the 5 students that we're about to call up. We did collaborate with Revere High School in identifying which students were best qualified for this award, and they helped us make the decisions. So I'm going to read a little bit about the kids that are getting these awards so that you can understand why they are the recipients. The first is Luke Hartnett. Luke currently ranks number 2 in a very competitive senior class. He's been able to maintain a grade point average of 4.6 while taking all honors and AP classes since his freshman year. Some of the coursework he has completed include AP Calculus, AP Chemistry, and AP Statistics. He scored a 5 on all 3 exams, which earned him the honor of an AP scholarship by the College Board. This year, he's also enrolled in AP Government and Politics, AP Biology, and AP Calculus BC. He's one of the kindest, funniest, most humble young men his guidance counselor has had the pleasure of working with. And they can attest to the quality of his character and his willingness to work harder than anyone they know. Luke is involved in MGH Youth Scholars Program for the last 4 years. It's a highly competitive program where students are exposed to various science and health careers throughout their high school career. He's also a member of the Revere Environmental Voice, the Pre-Medical Society, the National Honor Society, the Spanish National Honor Society, the PALS Mentoring Program, and has participated in numerous community service events such as the Walk for Hunger, the Walk for the Homeless, and he's donated his time at a homeless shelter. Luke is very passionate about math, and he hopes to major in either applied mathematics, my former major, or engineering in college. And he recently applied early action to Princeton. So Luke. Our next recipient is Kelsey DuPont. Kelsey is a caring and compassionate student who always shows these traits when working with others, but most of all, she's ambitious and focused, and she considers biomedical engineering as her #1 career choice. Pretty amazing. She is wise beyond her years, her guidance counselor says. Her resiliency and determination have driven her to academic and extracurricular success. This recipient is a member of the Robotics Club, the National Honor and Spanish National Honor Societies, the Mass General Hospital Youth Scholars. The added responsibilities of her schedule, Elena's grades never faltered, and she went on to take 2 AP courses for both sophomore and junior year and increased the rigor of her schedule by adding a 3rd AP course for this year. Her extracurricular activities include Above the Influence Club, PALS Mentoring Program, the Book Club, National Honor Society. She's the secretary of the Spanish National Honor Society, and she plays Revere recreational basketball, where she's a coach. Come on up, Elena. Okay, our 5th recipient is Justin Lee. Justin currently ranks #3 in the senior class and has been able to maintain a GPA of 4.49. Justin has been enrolled in all honors and AP classes throughout high school. He has completed AP Biology, AP Statistics, AP English Language and Composition, and AP Calculus. Justin is currently enrolled in AP Spanish, AP English Literature, and AP Psychology. Justin is a persistent young man. Justin is a first-generation student. His mother was born in China and his father in Hong Kong, and they migrated to the United States for a better quality of life. Through the experiences of his parents, along with his self-motivation to engulf a colossal amount of knowledge, Justin has developed a thirst to study and learn languages. Justin speaks English and Cantonese fluently, has an intermediate level of knowledge of Korean, and knows some Mandarin and Spanish. The languages heighten his sense of curiosity and stimulate him to choose the opportunities to acquire the knowledge that he hopes to attain. Justin has had great experiences in his short-lived life. Justin had the great opportunity to spend 6 weeks in an intensive language program. He traveled to South Korea and lived with a host family, where he spent the majority of his day learning the language. Justin has a glow in his eyes when he speaks about the exquisite privilege he encountered this past summer. During these 6 weeks, Justin reports that he could not express himself fully to his host family, but learned the importance and value of words and nonverbal communication that life holds. Congratulations, Justin. So everybody is welcome to stay, but when we get back, I think one of the committee members is going to make a motion to take a quick recess.
All the students, please come up here, please. Put them in the middle. Guys, stay in the middle. Stacy, go a little further back. Should we put them in the front?
Then you really need the wide angle.
Come on, get in here. Very good.
Where's the flash?
Thank you.
Right away.
Move to have a 2-minute recess, please.
How are you? The apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
How are you, dear? Good to see you. Good to see you.
We're at
That's right, that bunch is like a mom.
No, I don't know.
At 6 o'clock in the morning, and then all the news all free.
Sign it.
I'll see you. Thank you. Congratulations. Danny, thank you. I'll see you.
We went through 4 years together. I survived before she was the best, really. Great memories from here. Congratulations. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for giving him to us. Wow.
I don't need them. I couldn't do it. I started chapter 5.
Danny, you going to announce on November 20th?
Good, guys, let's go.
How we doing? We good? We getting audio live? Okay. Audio is all set.
Okay. All right, let's continue with the superintendent's report, Dr. Kelly.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ferranti. I want to acknowledge that we understand there was an audio feed problem that's just been corrected. And when the show replays on YouTube, the full volume will be included for the whole time. It was recording, just not playing live. Before we move on to Gianni's report from the Student Center, the student point of view, excuse me, I just want to mention that Erica Anderson, the young woman that we just recognized for helping her opponent in a track meet, is going to be on Class Act on November 20th. And is that Channel 7?
Yes.
Channel 7 Class Act,
What time?
beginning at 6 a.m., and it will rebroadcast throughout the day. So if you watch Channel 7 at any point during the day on November 20th, there's a good chance that you'll be able to catch Erica being featured on that program. And now I will call on Gianni Hill to give our student school committee report.
Hello, thank you for having me again tonight. First thing I would like to reference is at our last school redesign and innovation team meeting held on October 15th, Dr. Kelly asked us to explore the Mass Open online course as a graduation requirement. So basically in the future, we would be looking to have online courses become a graduation requirement for students in Revere. We discussed that we wanted to weigh out the pros and cons and see what the students thought of it, what parents thought of it, faculty, etc. And so we broke into small groups, about 5 people in each group, and we discussed the pros and cons. And overall, we determined that it was not a good idea for a graduation requirement, although it would work great as an external learning opportunity. So I think with that being said, I just kind of wanted to convey this message to all of you. It's something to think about as we're moving forward in time. And we need to ask ourselves how we plan on accommodating like the growing number of students that enter the district every year. It's growing rampantly. And to have the means to do so. And if the iPads are a sufficient means of prior exposure to modern living and further education. It is urgent that we explore this topic promptly before the issue arises. So I know that when I came here as a freshman, my class was 416 students, and the sophomore class this year, when they came into the school, they were high 400s, and now the incoming freshman class is at, I want to say 5s, like low 5s. It's growing rapidly. So we thought that the online courses might be a good idea to alleviate some of that pressure and keep the classroom sizes down and not congest them. But making it a requirement might be kind of difficult. So there are other options around it, and I'm curious to see what you guys would think, or if we talked about this in the future, how we can move on from here and figure out other ways to accommodate the large school size and the large population.
Good idea.
Yep, that will help. Does anyone have any comments on that before I move on to my next topic? No?
Go
Good
ahead.
idea.
Okay. So I want to talk a little bit about park testing pertaining specifically to juniors. This is a topic that was brought up to me by a few concerned students, teachers, faculty in the building. Last year, during the 2014-2015 school year, grade 9 and 11 students piloted the park exam for the first time in Revere ever. Testing took place during the spring of last year, where students were divided up into cohorts and assigned test dates and locations. This was due to the exam being online. We had a limited number of computers, so we arranged cohorts and set the students up on different dates. The topic of park has been discussed at numerous school improvement meetings as well as SRIT meetings, and has become a growing concern that testing may be a possible disruption to grade 11 students. It was made clear last year that anyone who was not willing to participate in the testing would receive in-house suspension. The reason for concern is that students had to miss various classes to attend all of their test sessions. Now, this is a growing concern for grade 11 students taking AP classes, and even those enrolled in SAT prep courses as well, preparing to take SATs during the spring of their junior year. On top of their course load, they are forced to take the park and miss valuable preparation time in their classes, of which they will have to make up on their own time. I am proposing for a system to be put in place where students registered for SATs or AP exams, and etc., can be excused from piloting the exam. This will ensure that not all students will be allowed to deny taking it. I just want to know if this is something we could maybe look forward into and see how we can resolve this.
So I can understand the issue that you're talking about where students feel stressed about how much testing that they are exposed to. And we did, as a district, decide to pilot the PARCC exam last year because we prefer to be on the cutting edge of all new things and not trail behind other districts, waiting for something to happen and then seeing what it's like after it's already been imposed upon us. We prefer to be out in front, piloting new experiences. I know, what kind of a time commitment did your colleagues, your classmates have with PARCC?
So,
An individual student?
from what I understand, from the students that
You were a junior, weren't you, last year?
No, I was a
Oh, you were a sophomore, right,
Yeah,
okay.
so I had juniors in my AP statistics class
Mm-hmm.
that would miss, I believe, they said that they missed between 4 to 6 classes, and usually the average test session took a little over one block, a little over 80 minutes. They were missing of class time.
Okay.
Yeah, especially with AP exams coming up, like right around the corner in the spring. Like, I know I won't even be absent one day of school because
Yeah.
missing that preparation.
One thing I'll say is that we do an outstanding job preparing our kids for AP. They get about 100% more contact time with their teachers than kids who take AP classes in other districts. And we do that intentionally to make sure that our students are very well prepared for the exams. So I don't feel like missing the 3 or 4 hours that you're talking about, 3 or 4 lessons would have a major impact on their ability to do well on the test. They're either well prepared for that AP test or the SATs, or they're not. And I don't think the 3 or 4 hours spent working on PARCC is going to have a significant impact. Where I do see it having an impact is on the stress level of how many different things do I need to prepare for right now, and how much can I manage as I'm taking on these extra workloads with these extremely rigorous courses and these high-stakes tests. But, that said, I think that last year the PARCC was a pilot. It wasn't something that was going to count for the kids in any way. It was a way for us to test out the test and make sure that it's valid. We're not sure right now what's going to happen this year with we're waiting for the Commissioner of Education to make his recommendation to the Board of Education next week regarding whether they want to persist with MCAS or make an adoption of PARCC or make some other third option that lives somewhere between MCAS and PARCC. As you know, MCAS is a sophomore test.
Yep.
You spent time working on that last year, right? Probably more than 3 or 4 hours, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. One of the things that I like about PARCC is the extreme reduction in the amount of time that it takes away from the classroom, where MCAS takes about 4 or 5 full school days for many kids, or a minimum of 3 hours on each of those 4 or 5 school days, which can come out to at least 15 hours for each kid. We're talking 3 or 4 hours on the PARCC. It's one of the reasons I like PARCC more than MCAS. But it's definitely a consideration, especially with the juniors, as you mentioned, where it's not a graduation requirement right now. It's something that we should take a look at and consider, as you pointed out, specifically for the kids who might have SATs or AP exams coming up. It's something that we should consider and work with. Maybe at a minimum, we could have some kind of a more relaxed study group with those kids, or do other things, help them with coping mechanisms and other ways that can help them get through the stress of applying for colleges and ramping up their resume and taking these SATs and taking AP exams and all of that other work if we're going to be doing any kind of a pilot. But right now, I'm not even sure that we're going to be doing anything with PARCC this spring.
Okay.
So it's a possibility that this is a non-issue for all of us. But I hope that you'll bring this up again at the December meeting, because by then we'll have a decision from the Board of Education and have a better idea of where the state is headed in terms of its system-wide testing. What I don't want us to do, I want to mention one more thing, is establish this habit where we start thinking that some people don't have to participate in our standardized testing. The one thing that has brought this district to be a level 2 district has been MCAS. That testing and that data that we got back on our student achievement and our student performance has paved the way for all of the work we've done over the last decade plus. And it's been really important work, and we would not have been able to do it if we didn't have accurate data about all of our students and where they were achieving well and where we needed to build scaffolds for some of them. So I would hate to see this committee ever take any kind of a vote against the standardized tests that have led us to where we are today. I know that there are a lot of other districts across the state where parents have been advocates against standardized testing, and in some cases, school committees have taken votes and agreed not to participate or to let kids opt out and do things like that. To me, it's a huge mistake. There's a reason why we are the only urban district in the state that has achieved level 2 status. And having been in this district for 20 years and been a part of that curriculum work and that assessment work very closely, I know that the state testing was a big piece of it. So I just did want to mention that. I hope the committee would never go down that path. But Gianni, if you can come back next month, when we have our meeting next month, can we bring up this topic again?
Sure.
And then I'll have better information from the state on what their plans are for the spring, and we can definitely work together to make sure that we're meeting the juniors and helping them and supporting them the way they need it. Okay.
Sounds great, thank you.
Good job.
No, that's all.
That's it, okay. Okay, the next item in the superintendent's list is, I just wanted to mention a little bit about our expanded learning time program. We are coming to the point where it's becoming more and more a reality that the state is not going to restore the funding that they reduced this past year from our ELT grants. Prior to this year, we got $1,300 per student at each of our ELT schools, which are the Garfield Middle School, the McKinley Elementary, and the Hill Elementary and the Wayland Elementary. This past school year, the state reduced that funding to $1,150 per student, which has put us at a critical place where we can no longer afford to sustain the program without additional school resources being allocated to those schools. And a challenge with that is we're basically taking money from the other 8 schools to put special programs in these 3 schools when we do that. And that's just not something that we think is fair. We have reached out to the state on several occasions to see if they could give us a decision on whether they were going to be able to restore the funding, and if so, how they were going to do that. But they haven't been able to tell us that they're going to be able to give us a timely response. We've worked with the teachers union to see if they wanted to think of any ulterior, other ways that we could work out the grant deficit that we're experiencing right now. And we're still talking to them about that, but I wanted to start the conversation now with parents and the community so that they can anticipate in January. It looks like we're going to be making a move to terminate our expanded learning time programs. So I just wanted to share that with the committee, share that with the parents, and make sure everybody is planning accordingly. I have one other thing that I'd just like to mention briefly, and I have some data up on the chart board here, if you'd like to take a look. One of the issues that, as the school committee knows, that we're facing is over-enrollment in all of our schools. And one place that I'm seeing that become a critical issue is at the middle school level. So using our current enrollments for each of grades K through 8, I made these, well, the first year is not really a prediction, it's a reality. We currently have 1,638 students in grades 6, 7, and 8 across the district. As anybody who is a parent of a middle school student will tell you, those schools are bursting at the seams. They just don't have any room for any more kids. And that's true of all 3 middle schools. But we're seeing a trend that next year we expect that to increase and, you know, we remain pretty much the same for the 17-18 school year. But then you see a significant increase in 18-19 and an even more significant increase in 19-20 school year. So as we plan our school system, we need to be thinking this far down the road in terms of how we're going to house all of these middle school students in 3 middle schools that are already, you know, reached their capacity in terms of the number of students that we can comfortably fit into classrooms. So I wanted to bring this point up as we talk as a school committee and as we talk to the city about long-term plans for this school district. We've spent a lot of time in the last couple of years talking about high school, but we also need to be talking about middle school. And any elementary parent will tell you we also need to be talking about elementary schools where we have reached a class size of 30 in a number of rooms, especially at grades 2 and 3, where you can see we have significantly larger classes, and those are the kids, when they reach the middle school level, that we're going to see that critical point in population growth at the middle school level. So one of the plans that we've been talking a lot about, and we're going to need to talk more about, is when we do build a new high school, working with the city and the city council to try to procure separate land on which that new high school could be built, so that this building could then be repurposed into a central middle school, which would alleviate the overcrowding that we currently have at the middle school level. In turn, we could look to those buildings to become elementary schools, alleviating the pressure that we currently feel with all of the elementary schools. And of course, we could talk to the city about how many of the buildings are really needed at that point, and whether or not there might be a school or two that we want to decommission and return to the city for their own use. But, you know, these are just ideas that I wanted to float out. I want us to start thinking about the bigger picture and the long-term plans that we need to start making now, so that 5-6 years down the road, when all of these kids hit middle school, we are well prepared and well positioned to receive them in a learning environment that's going to be conducive to their achievement.
Any questions? Continue.
And the last piece of the superintendent's report, I'm going to actually flip over to Mr. Malone, who's going to share with us. He worked extensively. I'd like to thank him for all of his hard work he and his team put into our comprehensive program review audit, which occurred not last week, but the weekend before. And just so that folks know, that's an audit where the Department of Education sends their team in to look at all different aspects of the school community and the school program. In particular, they look at what we do for English language learners and what we do for special needs students, but they also look at civil rights and other pieces of our program. I'll let Mr. Malone talk more about that.
Thank you, Dr. Kelly. As you said, Department of Elementary and Secondary Education gave us a visit 2 weeks ago, a 5-day visit from the Department of Quality Assurance. And specifically, what they were addressing is the district's compliance in the areas of special education, civil rights, and English language learners. This involved an extensive self-evaluation, which took place actually last year, which allowed us to upload to the department all the extensive work we've done in these areas and given them specific exemplars of the type of work we've done. In addition to their visit 2 weeks ago, they interviewed several staff members, principals, teachers, paraprofessionals. They reviewed individual special education records in the special education office and individual student records in the ELL office, and identified areas of need for the district, as they do in every district, and identified areas of strength. Our initial report that we had upon an exit interview was very positive with the department. They will need several month process to actually deliver a comprehensive report back to us. It starts with a draft format in which we have an opportunity to give feedback to. But we're very proud of the work that everyone did going into this. We know there's certainly areas we will always look to improve, but I think a lot of the conversations with the department around this visit were ways in which the district can be even more progressive than it is, how it can improve areas, and how we can certainly better serve students. So this is a great experience for all the staff involved. Particular hats off to Mr. Mogavera, Mr. Pierce, Ms. Schweiss, who has since retired, and Ms. Rizzo, for doing some outstanding work preparing for this and meeting with the inspectors and really making Revere shine as it always does. Thank you.
Are there any questions for the superintendent's report?
May I?
Ms. Ty?
Not to put you on the spot, but let me put you on the spot a bit, because I know you'll be well prepared for this. But I am interested in some ways that you feel that we really stood out, and a way perhaps that you can see that we need to get a little bit better in the way we deliver IEPs or whatever, services to children.
We got, great question, Ms. Ty, thank you very much. We got some significant positive feedback specifically directed at the type of instruction that special education students receive. I'll give you an exact quote. When a member of the inspection team was in one of our substantially separate classrooms at the high school, they compared that level of instruction to actually an AP class from what they've seen in other districts. They were very much impressed about the knowledge base of special education teachers around content area curriculum and how they integrate with the other classroom teachers as well. Some areas where we'll certainly need to update is the level of protected classes has changed over time. We have to make sure our language in our handbooks exactly reflects that. There were at least 3 instances of changes that came out in regulation since we did the self-study that we weren't even aware that had changed. So some of this is a learning process. But certainly we'll look through our records review, some of the elements around service and delivery and special education. We'll certainly look at updating our restraint policy within our handbook as a process of part of this committee to look at that, which is due in January. But many of the compliments that came our way were what they saw in the classroom with the students, which is the most important as far as I can see.
Congratulations, that's great.
Any other questions?
That concludes the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Dr. Kelly. All right, next on the calendar is Next on the calendar is the Staff Sergeant James J. Hill School. Approval of bills for Hill School as recommended by the Building Committee Subcommittee. Ms. Gravellisi, it's yours.
Thank you, Mr. Ferranti.
Okay.
Encumbrances, Complete Cleaning Co., $7,872.48 for emergency post-construction cleaning the day before school opened. So moved.
Roll call?
Mr. Ferranti?
Yes.
Ms. Gravellisi?
Yes.
Mr. McGuire?
Yes.
Ms. Pruitt?
Yes.
Mrs. Rizzo?
Yes.
Ms. Ty?
Yes.
Mayor Rizzo?
Next, please.
Consultant invoices, Hill International, $46,150. Invoice number 01690 for OPM services for September 2015. So moved.
Roll call?
Mr. Ferranti?
Yes.
Ms. Gravellisi?
Yes.
Mr. McGuire?
Yes.
Ms. Pruitt?
Yes.
Mrs. Rizzo?
Yes.
Ms. Ty?
Yes.
Mayor Rizzo?
Next, please.
DRA Basic Services, $22,507.80. Invoice number 39 for basic services for October 2015. So moved.
Second?
Roll call, please.
Mr. Ferranti?
Yes.
Ms. Gravellisi?
Yes.
Mr. McGuire?
Yes.
Ms. Pruitt?
Yes.
Mrs. Rizzo?
Yes.
Ms. Ty?
Yes.
Mayor Rizzo?
Next, please.
DRA PSS number 18, $165. Invoice number 1802 for artwork. So moved.
Second?
All in favor, all opposed, so vote. Next, please.
Furniture invoice number 6. Granger invoice number 5610 for $2,610.55. PO number 968 for master tool set. So moved.
Second?
All in favor, all opposed, so voted. Next, please.
Technology invoice number 2, Wally Computer Associates. Invoice number C27384 for $497 for computer and printer. So moved.
Second?
All in favor, all opposed, so voted. Next, please.
Invoice C27731, $82,980 for switch network cabling. So moved.
Second?
Roll call, please.
Mr. Ferranti?
Yes.
Ms. Gravellisi?
Yes.
Mr. McGuire?
Yes.
Ms. Pruitt?
Yes.
Mrs. Rizzo?
Yes.
Ms. Ty?
Yes.
Mayor Rizzo?
Next, please.
Invoice C27917 for $3,648 for switch networking cabling. So moved.
Second?
All in favor, all opposed, so voted. Next, please.
Invoice C29924, $375 for computer and printer. So moved.
Second?
All in favor, all opposed, so voted. Next, please.
Did that require?
Does that require a vote of 5,000?
No, we just did the one
We
for
just did the one for
$375.
$375.
We're on the next one.
The next one.
Next one's
Yes.
6,000.
Right, the next one. Invoice number C30626, $6,075 for computer and printer. So moved.
Second?
Roll call, please.
Mr. Ferranti?
Yes.
Ms. Gravellisi?
Yes.
Mr. McGuire?
Yes.
Ms. Pruitt?
Yes.
Mrs. Rizzo?
Yes.
Ms. Ty?
Yes.
Mayor Rizzo?
Next, please.
Invoice CW20963, $31,943.40 for computer and printer. So moved.
Second?
Roll call.
Mr. Ferranti?
Yes.
Ms. Gravellisi?
Yes.
Mr. McGuire?
Yes.
Ms. Pruitt?
Yes.
Ms. Rizzo?
Yes.
Ms. Ty?
Yes.
Mayor Rizzo?
Next, please.
CTA Construction Requisition Number 20. CTA Construction Base, $285,984.30 for September services. So moved.
Second?
Roll call.
Mr. Ferranti?
Yes.
Ms. Gravellisi?
Yes.
Mr. McGuire?
Yes.
Ms. Pruitt?
Yes.
Mrs. Rizzo?
Yes.
Ms. Ty?
Yes.
Mayor Rizzo?
Next, please.
CTA Construction Change Order Number 1, $52,513.24 for September services. So moved.
Second?
Mr. Malone, a quick explanation of what the change order is for, please.
On that particular one, Mr.
Yeah,
Ferranti?
yeah.
That goes back to the original masonry change and the original design where the cost came in for the original bid on the masonry, which we took out some tile work, some masonry, we put back in. This was already voted in, already appropriated, so now this is just a vote on to pay the bill.
Okay, thank you. Roll call then.
Mr. Ferranti?
Yes.
Ms. Gravellisi?
Yes.
Mr. McGuire?
Yes.
Ms. Pruitt?
Yes.
Mrs. Rizzo?
Yes.
Ms. Ty?
Yes.
Mayor Rizzo?
Next, please.
CTA Construction Change Order Number 11, $10,358.44 for September services. So moved.
Second?
Mr. Malone, a quick explanation, please. On number
That
11.
is for 2 additional exterior card reader access to the external doors, which is a new security entrance system. We've moved in some of our schools to a fob system. For instance, here at Central Office, this is now a card reader system that would be embedded in a staff member or accessibility through their ID card. It's embedded in there. So there was an original 2, I believe, instructed with the building. This was to put 2 additional ones in.
Okay, thank you. Roll call, please.
Mr. Ferranti?
Yes.
Ms. Gravellisi?
Yes.
Mr. McGuire?
Yes.
Ms. Pruitt?
Yes.
Mrs. Rizzo?
Yes.
Ms. Ty?
Yes.
Mayor Rizzo?
Okay, we're all set.
Yes.
Okay, number 5, subcommittee reports. Approval of the MOU with Revere Federation of Paraprofessionals.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Ms. Ty.
As a report from the Personnel Subcommittee, I move that we take from the table the Memorandum of Understanding with the Revere Federation of Paraprofessionals and vote to approve it.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Ferranti?
Yes.
Ms. Gravellisi?
Yes.
Mr. McGuire?
Yes.
Ms. Pruitt?
Yes.
Mrs. Rizzo?
Yes.
Ms. Ty?
Yes.
Mayor Rizzo?
Okay, next, School Department Communications. A, Matt Cruz, vote to approve appropriation of free cash from year 15 into year 16.
So moving?
Okay, roll call.
Is there a
Mr. F-
second?
Excuse me?
Is there a second?
Yeah, there was it. Okay, go ahead.
Mr. Ferranti?
Yes.
Ms. Gravellisi?
Yes.
Mr. McGuire?
Yes.
Ms. Pruitt?
Yes.
Mrs. Rizzo?
Yes.
Ms. Ty?
Yes.
Mayor Rizzo?
Number B, approval of resolution change in 403B plan document. I need a second. Roll call, please.
Mr. Ferranti?
Yes.
Ms. Gravellisi?
Yes.
Mr. McGuire?
Yes.
Ms. Pruitt?
Yes.
Mrs. Rizzo?
Yes.
Ms. Ty?
Yes.
Mayor Rizzo?
Okay, next, any new business? Next, any late communications?
None.
Next, any motions? Okay. Next, any public comments? I don't see any. None. I need a motion for the payment of bill.
Pay the bills, please.
Second.
All in favor, all opposed?
Aye.
So voted. All right, adjournment.
Until,
And next meeting is Tuesday, December 8th at 6 PM.
so moved.
All right, and we wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. I believe the date is the 26th of November.
One thing.